check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Yo, what's going on, Eagles Nation? I am your boy, AK Eagles. Welcome to another episode of the AK Eagles podcast, and I am joined with one half of the Philly Shakedown, my boy, the man of horror, JoeyShakes72, and he's going to tell us what he feels about our Philadelphia Eagles. Stay tuned. Yo, what's going on, everybody? I hope that threw me all off. Sorry.
It's too hot. It's too hot to concentrate. I don't know. It's way too hot. The heat is making me insane right now. I'm not in heat. I am hot. Pause. But you know what I mean.
Yo, I was just about to say, I hope everyone is staying cool, man, because on the East Coast, we are living in the devil's butthole over here. It is hot as hell, man.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you taking this time, bro, to come on and join us and talk some Eagles football. Thank you so much, man.
No problem, bro. Anytime.
Not that you need it, but.
Nina, what's going on?
What's going on, Nina? So, all right, Joey, I want to start out here a little bit. You know, we've been talking about the players for the last couple of weeks, man. I want to get your thoughts on the coaching staff real quick because, you know, between Clay, Gannon, Steichen, Singleton, Patullo, Johnson, Michael, Rowless, Rocker, Wilson, and Nick, some of these guys I still to this day question. You know, we did see some improvements last year during the season, you know, with Nick and you know, but I still got some question marks on some of these coaching positions. So can I get your take on those guys a little bit and how you feel about them in their second year?
Yeah, you know, I think when it comes down to it, like, you know, they didn't touch the coaching staff this year. They didn't touch any of the positional coaches this year just because I think, you know, they're giving this whole thing another chance. You know, they're building around Jalen Hurts even better this year, and hopefully defensively with all the pieces we have, that Jonathan Gannon can be that, you know, that main piece. That's, I mean, he's probably the most important piece of our defense to make all this work from all the players that we did acquire. You know, like I have no problem with the coaching staff. Like obviously we have, you know, issues with, you know, both coordinators. You know, Nick Sirianni has the leash on Shane Steichen with his play design, and hopefully using these players, you know, and put them in the right positions to win football games, and you know, route combinations, and, you know, really helping these receivers and putting the right guys open. You know, I think we'd all agree on, you know, not, you know, using Devontae Smith as a number one this year, and actually, you know, now acquiring AJ Brown to kind of expand the playbook a little bit. But obviously with Shane Steichen, you have him calling 5 or 6 plays in a row, and then Nick kind of makes the adjustments if things are not working because of matchups or whatnot. So hopefully that is better. We're not going to find out a lot from training camp and from the preseason just because they're not the coaches. Anything the coaches that are going to say what they're doing, and we kind of have to take with a grain of salt because they don't want to give their game plan away to who we're facing week 1 against the Lions and the rest of give the blueprint to anybody else of what we're trying to do. But positional coach wise, I think changes will be made next year regardless. I don't think anything's going to be perfect in a perfect world, but I like Reynolds. I like the linebacker coach. I like defensive line coach and Tracy Rocker is definitely going to be something to look at and how he gets these guys prepared every single week. This defensive line needs pressure. It's the first thing I'm almost looking at with this defense, with this defense in general. Can we just generate, pressure what we have with the front four? And hopefully with all, the new linebacker room and working with these guys and hopefully, getting pressure this year and blitzing more and putting us in good position. So I feel like, Denard Wilson's been pretty good with the corners. I've had really no problem with him. I think they've been progressing well. I think that was our strong suit of last year with the cornerback spot. And obviously the depth behind it now, now you brought in Bradbury as your number 2. Now I want to kind of see what you have and, Tay Gowan, Exec McPherson, Mario Goodrich, and, getting, Jimmy Moreland off waivers. You've got a lot of bodies at cornerback right now because, going to next year, you have Slay on a 1-year contract and, he's his last year next year. So, you have to kind of figure out this cornerback spot. We could be almost in a mess if we don't kind of figure it out whether they give Slay an extension or not. So I feel like we're giving this another run, and like I said, Gannon is the main piece to our defense, and we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, out of all the coaches, I got to say, man, my biggest weak spot, I would say. Man, it's got to be our wide receiver coach, Moorhead. I do not trust this man out of all of them. JG's right there, but Moorhead's been here for this will be his 3rd year, right?
Yeah. Going
in. Dude, I have not seen the improvements from Rager. I have not, Smith is only Smith because he is who he is, But I need to see these other guys take these leaps, and under Moorhead so far the last 2 years, I haven't seen people improving. The only reason that they improved, like Quez, for instance,
right.
Dude, Quez went down there to Atlanta with Calvin Ridley and put the work in the offseason. He dedicated himself to be that way. That wasn't from Moorhead,
right.
So I don't know how I'm feeling about that guy. What's your take on him, man?
No, I was going to mention Quez Watkins, but obviously, he's got these coaches can only do so much. So he, has to, these guys, separately have to work in the off season and train and do their thing, to get prepared for, training camp and get prepared for the off season you're going to have now. So, I don't know, I don't know if he's putting a fire under these guys, kind of like how Mike Rowe came into 2017 as a receivers coach and totally that receiver, room looked really good. It's only so much you could put into the wide receiver coach because it's play calling and it's the attitude of these receivers and how well they place it, specifically. So, a weak point, I don't know. I just have to see more this year. Now you have AJ Brown and you have with Zach Pascal, so you have some good weapons there and how he gets these guys prepared. So I wouldn't say maybe a weakness, but maybe it could be a weakness later on. Maybe, I don't really see these receivers struggling unless the play call. Like I said, I keep saying play calling because I think the play calling could be subpar. So you never know. Hopefully adjustments are made. So we'll see, but definitely a name to look out for as a big release candidate. Maybe next year coach wise. So.
Yeah, the only way he gets released is with the talent that he has right now. If he does not produce as a coach.
Right.
When you have A.J. Brown, Smith, Watkins, Zach Pascal, Rager, and Covey and all these dudes that we brought in, and if you can't get something going, dude, at that point, I'm looking at you because we know the talent is there. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I agree. I totally agree with that.
Now, real quick, I'm going to bring this up. I got 500's take on it, and I want your take. These just dropped this morning, and I was lucky to have it drop right before me and 500 went live. This right here.
Yeah.
What is your take on these black helmets, man? And are you excited for them?
Yeah, I mean they're nice. Like I mean it's I thought that there was another picture that was out that had like a little bit more thickness in the wings with the black, and they had the matte finish, gloss on it, and it still has that. It's pretty much the midnight green helmet just turned black. So I mean it looks good. I mean from those pictures it looks a lot better than the original pictures they put out because I couldn't really tell. Like I think if they use them for prime time, I think they're going to look a lot better than they will in the daytime. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, yeah, it's good. Like it's not like, oh my god, these are the best things I've ever seen in my life. But what I did notice that Devontae Smith put out a video of him putting the helmet on, and like they actually had the old Eagles logo on the front still. So I mean, they don't have the word ink stuff, the new word art they have, it's not there. So, I mean, that I think is going into next year. I think they're going to put that towards the field, and maybe they will add it to the jerseys and we'll add it to the helmet next year. So, just for something, helmet-wise, you're going to wear for 2 games this year, maybe 3, you never know. We have 5 primetime games this year, so I mean, they're solid. I like them. It's definitely going to be a different look, and yeah, I like them. They're solid. I mean, they're solid.
The only thing that my difference would have been, I'll bring that back up real quick. The only difference, and when I thought of these helmets, man, and I was looking at them, the white on the wings, I would have made like a gunmetal gray, just a little lighter than the actual black. And then the outline I would have done in either Kelly green or midnight green to give it that little pop.
Yeah.
I was hoping more on black than white on black. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was figuring maybe like, something with the wings, like from a stock photo I saw like a few months ago, and like that little bit not thickness in the wings, but maybe making the black a little bit more black and making the wings just look a little bit different. But I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's solid. It's nothing it's going to drive me crazy, but I mean, just to wear for a few games. Just for this year, if these are just the alternates for this year, and because I think once Kelly Green's come out next year, no one is going to care about the black on black anymore. So,
yeah, and dude, them dropping that right there, man, I can't wait for them to drop the Kelly Greens now.
True that.
See what they look like,
Mm-hmm.
So, we've gotten word that these guys, they're going to practice, but not a lot. You know what I mean? Like, and preseason, they're probably not going to play a lot. How do you feel about that, man? Because I feel that's where a lot of your chemistry is brought to and made from. You got to play to get that chemistry. But how do you feel about that? Is it more about injury saving or like?
The problem I have with it right now is that look, Jalen Hurts has been working out. Like, I understand, like, working out with your own guys without a defense coming after you is great. And I know he's been working, with Tom House and Quincy Avery, and then bringing these, really hard training sessions by Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and the rest of this offense, which is great. But they're not going to get reps in preseason. I mean, I don't like the fact that Nick Sirianni, he likes the scrimmage. He values the scrimmages a lot more, which for certain positions they are of value, but for the quarterback position itself, it does and it doesn't. It does because he's getting the reps. It doesn't because it's not live tackling. You don't, and God forbid, like a defensive lineman gets through the offensive line and he passes Jalen Hurts, and he's going to be able to make every throw from these scrimmages regardless. So it's tough for me. I think for certain position it works. For other positions, it's like the quarterback position, it's just not going to work out because when it comes to preseason, you're not going to have these veterans like Kelsey and especially offensive linemen, Fletcher Cox, like all these guys are not going to get reps. It's just not going to happen. Hurts, I think, needs to get. I'm not saying you got to go crazy and put him in for a whole entire game. If it was me treating this preseason the way it is, okay, I would put in for Jalen Hurts for a couple series the first game, since we only have 3 preseason games now. The second game I would use as the dress rehearsal, put him in for a quarter or 2 quarters or a quarter and a half, and then that third game just sit him. This way you have a few extra weeks. If there's bumps and bruises for some players, it gets these guys ready and prepared, and he'll still work between that time from the last after the last preseason game to the regular season. But they got to play him. Like I don't want him to be rusty. The first game, like whether you're working out with your guys or not with no defense, like it's a big difference when you have live tackling. So I feel like I didn't mind the shortness of OTAs. I didn't not having Mini camp was, I guess, okay. Like I know a few teams are doing it. I guess just the less, the injuries, and I totally get it. But to have the guys in the building is good because of mentorship with some of the veterans and the young guys is a great thing too, which I think kind of hurt us, but I'm not making a big deal out of it. But the preseason is definitely, they got to give him some reps, some game reps. And I don't know why Nick calls the scrimmages game time reps, because they're not. For a quarterback, it's definitely not. They're reps, but they're not realistic reps, in my opinion. So
yeah, no, I mean you can only imagine that scrimmage reps are slower than actual preseason games.
Yeah.
I mean, because they are taking the time to pause the play and work on things, if they need to, or hey, you should have been here and not here. And both sides are doing that. To where in the scrimmage you're not doing that. You're literally just throwing them out there and seeing what they can do. So, that I do understand where you're coming from with that. It does make a very, very big.
Everybody has a different opinion about it, and I'm totally fine with that. Like, trust me, like if someone said, "Oh, Les, maybe he shouldn't," and maybe he'll look great. Maybe I think he's going to be rusty if he doesn't play enough. I mean, that's just me. So
dude, that's kind of the difference between generations here. I mean, if you look at it, you look at our generation, we're almost the same age. Back in the day, dude, that's what they did in football. They played 3 preseason games and during them. To where nowadays they're not doing it as much, but to us, we benefited from that, but to this new generation, they benefit their way, but it is really all on, how you truly think it is.
Yeah. I'm saying between but when you had 4 preseason games, you played less.
Yep.
Okay, you played less because then you'd have, then you think, okay, more injuries, so you would sit out more players. Mm-hmm. But now with less games, at least 1 game less, so it's 3 games now, you would at least try to play them more, because after the last game, you have a little bit of a time gap, between that, the last game and your first game of the season. So I don't know. I figured, we'll see how it works out, but maybe he'll get some reps. I don't know. I just don't think Hurts is going to play anything. I mean, a couple series, and I think that's it. I think when they feel like he's getting hit too much, or they're going to worry too much, and they're just going to take him out, and that's really it.
Yeah, no, I honestly agree with you on that one. I think they're going to save face with everyone, especially all our starters. Right. But all right, well, hell, we're talking about him, so we might as well go with it. Jalen Hurts, man, he has came out here this offseason, and dude, I'm not gonna lie, he's put in the work. He looks good.
Oh, yeah.
Lower body. From the videos that we've seen, it looks like his throwing motion has been, better. He worked on it. He improved it. We've seen it. We've seen what he can do last year. I have a bet with Boys for Life, and this is the only bet I've ever had, and I took it because he made it so easy. But he said Jalen Hurts has to have 3,500 yards and 22 passing touchdowns. If he gets that, I get Eagle gear. If not, he gets Dallas gear. And I was like, bro, book it. 3,500 yards? You shouldn't.
He should have.
He should have that.
Yes.
So, how do you feel about his progress that we've heard about? From the professionals. How do you feel he's improved so far, and just where he's at in his career?
I mean, I feel like he's took a big stride, like taking it seriously. When it comes to Jalen Hurts' mentality and his preparation and his work ethic, it's off the charts. I mean, I don't even think we've seen this from Carson Wentz. I mean, we saw him hunting some deer heads, and that was pretty much it in the offseason. Maybe taking the wide receivers, up to nowhere land and throwing the ball to some of these guys, but. I mean, the work ethic's there. I mean, his play just has to match with it. I mean, yes, the throwing motion looks good. Like I just need to see him in this offense, like 3,500 yards. I mean, I'd say over 20. He's got to have over 28 touchdowns, 3,800 plus. I mean, for me, he could pass 4,000. It'd be great. But I think 3,800 plus is where I'm looking at right now. There's no doubt about it. Like I feel like he's taken a big stride this year, and he's become that leader. The players are gravitating towards him, especially having players that he has already chemistry with. Trading for AJ Brown was huge, and not really for Howie Roseman, as he said. It wasn't because they want to make the trade. Like Hurts got that trade done. Okay, and not knowing that, we didn't know that him and AJ Brown were working out every single offseason, which I didn't know it was like every year they were doing that. Yeah. which is a good thing. So you already have the chemistry there, and Devontae Smith, and and then just seeing from what we're seeing and hearing from pictures and videos and stuff like that all offseason on these crazy, gruesome workouts that they're having, which is great. I mean, I've never seen the work ethic like this from a quarterback in a while, especially in Philadelphia. So, I mean, sky's the limit for Jalen Hurts, and his work ethic only takes him so far, and maybe his skill set only takes him so far. But if he can work on the little things, let this offense work for you. Don't put everything on Jalen Hurts' plate when it comes to keeping the football in his hands and using Jalen Hurts' legs, which is a big plus for this offense. Because theoretically, Jalen Hurts' legs, the run game itself, it doesn't work without Jalen Hurts. It just doesn't, because people have to, but players have to respect, defenses have to respect, the run game and what Jalen Hurts can do. And then when you have weapons now, where teams are not going to play so much in the box, they're going to spread out a little bit. It's looking very dangerous right now. So I'm excited to see what. I just want to see, the first thing I want to see in training camp is Jalen Hurts. I want to see just how much he's progressed, and hopefully we see it, and hopefully we see a big difference. So I think it's been fantastic. My gut feeling says he's going to play well. I'm not saying he's got to play 10% better. He's got to play 20 to 25% better this year. I think he makes that big stride.
Yeah, no, man. Listen, I've never seen a kid get criticized as much as Jalen Hurts does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this kid has been put through the ringer so far, and all he's done is just work his ass off, and most people respect that, and most of us do. But there's some out there, say he has a noodle arm and stuff like that. Like, I've seen this kid display his arm, and sure, he's not going to be a Pat Mahomes, he's not going to be a Josh Allen or a Justin Herbert. We all know that, but to sit here and say that you can't win with Jalen is just blasphemy. Jalen can win games. He's proven that time and time again. Will he ever be a 300-yard-a-game passer? Probably not. But you don't need him to be. And a lot of people sit there and they're like, well, are we going to make him throw more? Yeah, we probably will, but we're also going to use his legs. You can't cripple Jalen Hurts. If you take away his legs, you're doing exactly what we did to Carson Wentz after he got injured. You know what I mean?
Right.
Their legs are their safety barrier, their secure blanket. They know that if they're getting rushed, that they can get out. And if you just tell this man, no, whatever you do, stay in the pocket, you're already half crippling him. Like that's his go-to. And some people need to understand that. Sometimes you're going to get a touchdown with his legs. Other times you're going to get it with his arm. But no matter what, a touchdown is a touchdown, is it not?
No, it is. And I think the one thing I have to see this year is I need Jalen Hurts to beat teams with his arm. And I'm not saying it has to happen every week, but I need to see if we're down a field goal or if we're down, 2 touchdowns. And this is it. You got 2 minutes left on the clock. You're down 3. And you have to get up there and score a touchdown. And I feel like because of the blueprint from last year from Jalen Hurts on Jalen Hurts not being able to read defenses, they're going to keep that under wraps for this offseason. And obviously, hopefully he's a lot better in that department. And he's got to beat teams with his arm. And that's what teams are going to do. They're going to blitz him. They're going to try to, take away any. And look, because if they think that he can't, go through his progressions and his checkdowns are too late. And I think Hurts does hesitate sometimes. I felt like later in the season too, his checkdowns were kind of like, he was kind of too late throwing the ball. And there were some times where when he sensed pressure, like at the first sign of pressure, he just start running. And then there's games where we saw flashes where he could sit in the pocket and throw the ball very well. So it's just even some of these mechanical throws last year, like, even a 5-10 yard slant where he throws behind the receiver, a screen pass thrown behind the receiver, like these little passes that he should, these mechanical throws as a quarterback going to the NFL, he should know and should complete. Those are the things I'm going to be looking for in Jalen Hurts. This involves giving him a contract, and where the Eagles, should they win the East for him to get a contract? Should he win a playoff game to get a contract? It just all depends on how he plays this year. So,
well, and listen, man, I've played football in high school and middle school. Now, I never did the quarterback position, but I was a wide receiver, and I do know chemistry has a lot to do with between a wide receiver and his QB. Mm-hmm. And to a point, to 100% point, you're right. He needs to learn to throw his wide receivers open. He needs to learn to be more accurate, and he needs to learn to anticipate, to be on the same page and stuff like that, and read defenses, know when to get rid of it, know when to keep it. And the one thing that I have to say is that's one thing I felt with Jalen Hurts last year, especially in his dropbacks, whether it was 3-5 or that whenever he would drop back, he'd hold it because he didn't trust his wide receivers to be there. And I wouldn't put that on Smith a lot, more along the lines of Quest and Rager.
Right.
I feel he felt Smith would be there, but when you take your 3 steps and you stop and you release the ball, you expect that wide receiver to be on his mark the moment you release it. If that chemistry is not there, man, that can really stall an offense. I believe he has that in AJ now, and then you move Smith to his right side, which is Jalen Hurts' strongest side. He's right-handed. He can throw a lot better on his right side than he can his left. So it's going to work, dude. I really feel it is, because there's nothing that this kid can't do. And it's like I told Philly 500 just a little bit ago. He has no wife. He has no kids. He has 100% of his day to focus on this game. 365 days a year. Just work on your craft. And, dude, I can't tell you anyone that I know of who hasn't worked on their craft day in and day out and has not gotten better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I get it. Like, it's and I think with AJ Brown in the building now, and look, we talk about Devontae Smith and what he was given in this offense last year. That was, I thought he had a pretty good year for what the offense was giving him and not treating him the right way. And just under 1,000 yards, I think is totally disgusting. But which he should have had a lot more. And obviously, Quez, I thought, would have been between 800 to 1,000 yards last year. Definitely 100%. Could have maybe passed 1,000. Who knows at this point? But, I think A.J. Brown is definitely becoming the embodiment of Philly, and he's another voice and keeping himself accountable and everybody else accountable. And if things do go south where the guys aren't on the same page, these guys are going to talk. We're going to see it on the field. We'll see it maybe on the sideline or whatnot. Like A.J. Brown's going to say something. We got to get this thing going. Hopefully we don't get to that. We don't get into that mess. But even from a few examples from last year, how many times did Devontae Smith go up to Jalen Hurts? We got to work something out. Went up to Nick Sirianni during that one game, give me the ball, never gave it to him. You know what I mean? Like, you have receivers that are very confident in getting these catches. You know what I mean? So you got to throw to these guys, and like I said with Jalen Hurts in this offense, let the offense work for you. It's going to be, it could be one of the most exploding offenses this year. No joke.
For sure, it could be, man. And further, he asked, what is your take on Hurts when it comes to other teams' defenses now have figured out Hurts' scrambles? Will coaches design better plays for Hurts, or, like you said, keep him more in the pocket like Wentz? Dude, listen, I have not really found a defense yet who has been able to stop our quarterback. The Saints, the last 2 years, whenever his rookie year and this past year, they've came in the number 1 rush stopping defense in the NFL, and each year Jalen's ran over them. If anyone could have stopped them, it was the Saints. If anyone can, they would have. And honestly, no one stopped them yet. There's just some guys you can't stop because they pick the right holes. They see the right things, and Jalen, to me, he seems like one of those guys right now. You can scheme for him, but it doesn't mean it's going to work. How do you feel about that?
No, when defenses start making us one-dimensional, if our passing game is not working, you're not going to win with Jalen Hurts' legs. He'll get the yards, but you're not going to win football games that way. Yeah, you got to have some sort of a balance. Like we all say, are they going to run the same they did last year? Probably not, but I think they're still going to run a lot regardless, but I feel like they're going to pass just a little tiny bit more just because A.J. Brown is in the building now. So, like I said, you can't scheme against a read option RPO quarter. It's just – you got to have the players that are smart. And if your defense doesn't have the players that are smart, they're not going to be able to defend it. That's why Nick Foles was so good at what he does. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in an RPO system because he's not an under center type quarterback, whether, if he's doing play action or something like that, it's a different story. But you can't defend it. And if you can get this pass and get this passing game going, I'm telling you, it's good. His legs are going to be a whole nother reason why we do win games, but you got to have that passing game in effect. And it's just going to be another thing that teams are going to have to worry about. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And the one thing too, you said about the whole AJ Brown coming here. The one thing I learned about the whole AJ Brown Hurts is he's the godfather to his daughter. Like that's man. I never even knew that. I didn't even know these guys were that close. Like you said, we learned a lot this offseason.
Yes.
So bringing A.J. Brown in, shout out to Howie Roseman, by the way. First off, we've dogged this man for many, many years. I mean, to the point where he shouldn't even want to show his face in Philadelphia. I mean, we've busted him pretty bad. But these last 2 years, man, Howie has really stepped up. And I'm not afraid to give the man his props when they're due. And I'm not afraid to put him down when I need to. But I can't put him down these last 2 years, bro. He has killed the drafts. He has killed off seasons. Like, I mean, last year was supposed to be a down year for us, a rebuild year, and yet we made the playoffs. So, you know, what does A.J. Brown bring to this offense specifically, in your opinion? You know, and you know, what does he open up for Goddard and Miles Sanders and even Jalen himself and Smith? And while you answer that, I'll be back in 1 second because I got to go to the bathroom.
You're good. You're good. Yeah, no, I think with A.J. Brown, like you got swag, you got leadership, you got passion. You have a guy that's just relentless, and I think we've already kind of seen that this year with A.J. Brown and the way he called out Micah Parsons at the Devontae Smith softball tournament, and like just the little things that you see from him and the amount of work that he puts into an offseason. I think he's just extra excited because him and Jalen Hurts are really close. And I think all that's going to work out really nice. And not only you have a big body to throw to, but a guy that can get a lot of yak yards, the guy can get separation. And while defending Dallas Goedert, while defending Quez Watkins, going against the number 3 cornerback, and having Devontae Smith off a year like we just talked about before, a year where I thought Devontae Smith played good. I think he's going to be an absolute beast from what he showed us last year. And you know, I think with A.J. Brown, it's you have that chemistry, and you're going to get a guy in the building that's, like I said, is going to be relentless. That's going to give you 100% every single play, and you know, will not will always guarantee excellence from this offense. So I feel like, the A.J. Brown, you needed that veteran receiver. This wide receiver core was way too young last year. And we all knew that mistakes were going to be made, but making the playoffs last year, and this team kind of having that resiliency. Before last year, we kind of lost that resiliency at the end of the season, you know, and I felt like this team is against the wall. You trap this team in a corner, they're gonna, the dogs are gonna bite back, and they do. And I think A.J. Brown has become that bigger dog in that wide receiver room. And like even Devontae Smith said in the offseason, he said, it'd be nice to bring in a vet. He said to John Clark, it'd be nice to bring in a veteran receiver. Now, when Zach Pascal got signed, I was like, dude, please don't tell me this is the actual signing. I mean, great addition now. I mean, he's a good addition, but it just wasn't it for me. And they passed on so many receivers in free agency. And obviously, we could have had Calvin Ridley right now. I mean, Calvin Ridley would be with us right now. We wouldn't even have A.J. Brown. So obviously, everything, the football gods looked down on us and said, Calvin Ridley, do what you got to do, and he got in trouble for the year.
Interrupt you real quick. I do have a question I want to ask because it's interesting. You bring up Calvin Ridley. Because we were interested in him this year and because of his suspension, in all honesty, bro, I think his suspension's bullshit. Like, you can't have gambling in football and not expect these guys to gamble, but it is what it is. Do you think we might make a push for him next year? I know we have a lot of weapons, but maybe Calvin is our slot guy next year if Jalen works out. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that still maybe a possibility for him?
I mean, maybe. I mean, if we didn't have Quez, if we didn't have Quez, maybe it'd be a different story. I want to see what Quez could do like this year. If he could put up 647 yards, which he could have put up another 200 yards over that last year with only 2 drops. I mean, I feel like they might not even need to make a move like that unless Quez takes a back seat this year, and he's just he's taking a little bit of a back seat this year. But I think maybe he might be one of the most underrated players in this offense because of how open he might be. Because if he's playing that well against maybe a number 2 corner, maybe a number 1 corner, some weeks just depends. As against a number 3 corner now, I mean, he should be more productive. I mean, he might get open a lot more than we think he's going to get open. So, I mean, look, it's always a possibility to get Calvin Ridley. I mean, if you had Calvin Ridley as a number, I mean, if you have him on the inside, I mean, that would be fantastic. I mean, that would be be relentlessly good. But I would just wait to see what Quez does the rest of the year and just see how he produces. He's only getting better every single year, but I think we got saved. Even though the Falcons could have traded him, because I guess what happened was the Falcons called the Eagles, said they weren't making the trade. They didn't tell the Eagles why until the Eagles found out later on. Out of respect, good for them, for the Falcons to not trade him, and already, then already be suspended for the year. Then we would have been screwed. It was going to be rumored to be a 3rd round pick, which would have been a total steal. In my opinion, that would have been a really good trade. So, I'm glad what we have now. So we'll see.
Yeah, no, I probably never should have brought it up because now people are going to go crazy for it. But no, Quez honestly could be this breakout guy this year. And I love Quez, dude. I think he's got great toe drag swag. I mean, he made a hell of a catches last year on the sideline. He's got reliable hands, dude. I really, really, sky's the limit for Quez, But if he can't, I'm just saying, if he can't, dude, I'm all for Ridley, dude. If you could get A.J. Brown, Smith, and Ridley, oh my God, that would be insane and beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you heard too, I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but yeah, Vince McMahon retired today. Thank freaking God. But
all the crap going on with him. Yeah, I kind of read some of it like a couple weeks ago, what was going on.
Yeah. So my next question for you, man. This offensive line, dude.
Oh, I love it.
It's dirty. It is. We've all given how we gripe about, building the lines, always using 1st round picks. Look what it gave us. Dude, we have depth. We have some of the best young talent on our offensive line. And it's easily able to be built off from after Lane and Kelsko, How do you feel about these young talents like Mailata, Driscoll, Jurgen, all of them, man? Like these are some pretty solid players we got here.
Yeah, like the left side of the line is definitely a strong point now. Getting Mailata, and obviously from the past few years, 7th round pick out of Rugby, and just Jeff Stalin just doing a fantastic job. And the Eagles, that we didn't talk about coaching staff, that Jeff Stalin needs like a major extension with a lot more money. Give this man as much money as he wants, because he's literally turning players into, a guy from the 7th round playing rugby and always seeing if he had that talent and just playing a sport he's never played. It's fantastic. I think he got his recognition last year. I think he's going to have a lot more attention this year. Dickerson was probably what made the draft last year, a big analytical pick that had a lot of upside because he was the best center in college football. But then finding out during the draft he had 2 ankle injuries, 2 knee injuries, and having an ACL, it kind of worried us a little bit. And then I think it was that 49ers game, that home opener. I was actually at that game. They put him, I guess when Brandon Brooks went down, they put Dickerson the right guard, and then he didn't really play well. And then that left side, he put him at left guard, and that was it. He was supposed to be our next center. I guess that's not going to happen now. So that left side is, I think because they have really good chemistry together. They're really good friends. So it's always there. And then with Kelsey retiring now after this year, what it sounds like, and obviously Howie Roseman and Kelsey handpicking this, Cam Jurgens in the 2nd round. Now, it wasn't the sexy pick of the draft. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't. A lot of fans were pissed off. I was actually pretty happy about it, because now it's like, hey, you know what? It's a project. It might not be a project, but it's someone that they've handpicked and that could take over that spot. And he's an undersized center, kind of like Kelsey, the same thing. Really good footwork, and he's got a lot of he's got some grit to him. Really good. He blocks very well, pass protection really well. He's got very good technique. So I'm really excited to see what Cam Jurgens brings. I heard they're going to maybe cross-train him. I think they're going to at least cross-train him to guard/center. He'll be playing center, but obviously might play that right guard spot a little bit. And then at right guard, you have Jack Driscoll that's kind of holding that spot down. Not great, not bad, but I think he's pretty solid at right guard. But I think Isaac Samala might be taking that spot. I think, in my opinion, they might have a 3-man competition at right guard, but Samala might get it. I don't know how well he plays on the right side. But so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I'm not a big on Isaac Samala's pass protection, but his run blocking is really good. He's always been ranked pretty high in the NFL as a guard, especially on the left side. And then obviously Lane Johnson. right there. So let's just say if Samal does win that spot in training camp and for the rest of the season, Driscoll could play right guard, right tackle. And if, a couple of years later, Lane Johnson retires or something happens like that, I think Driscoll could be a pretty good right tackle. I think he's a nice swing right now for right guard, right tackle. So you have depth right there. And then obviously having LaRaven Clark, that plays left tackle, I think right guard, right tackle, and then LaRaven Clark's been hurt. I mean, when we acquired him from free agency, he was coming off an ACL from the Colts, and then he got hurt like twice last year. So the guy can never stay healthy. But Dillard, from Mulata missing a couple games last year, I thought Dillard played pretty good. I thought he played pretty solid for the couple games he went in for Mulata. The Eagles are not picking up his fifth-year option after this year because it's like over $12 million. But I don't know what they're going to do with Dillard. They're probably just going to let him go, most likely. I mean, then, come next year, you're going to need a new left tackle. But I think offensive line-wise, I mean, most teams don't have this. You see, like a couple of years ago with Kansas City in the Super Bowl, they lose an offensive lineman, and they totally just what do we change our offensive line 16 to 20 times, whatever it was, 16, 17 times a year?
16 offensive line changes in 17 games.
Yeah. And every time we go into another game, us fans are just like, next man up, no big deal, Like we know that Jeff Stoutland got this. He gets these guys prepared. So I totally have a lot of trust in Jeff Stoutland, this offensive line, if they have to move some guys around. But yeah, no, I mean, this means so much for Jalen Hurts. This means so much for the future, and this means so much for. You don't have to pay running backs. You don't have to. And I'm telling you, with Miles Sanders, like, he could have a good year. He could actually walk after this year. And I really, you know what? Miles Sanders is one of my favorite players on the team, but if he walks, then he walks. Like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not paying a running back that much money. It's not happening. Like, you get a Kenneth Gainwell in the fifth round. Now, Kenneth Gainwell ain't no special running skill set. You know what I mean? I feel like they should use Miles Sanders the way they use Kenneth Gainwell in the passing game, which Dougie P did his rookie year, which I kind of miss. I don't think they're getting the most out of Miles Sanders, but obviously he needs to stay healthy. And Kenneth Gainwell, 9 out of 10 times he makes the first guy miss. They've been putting him in the slot. They've been moving him around. So he's just productive. So the offensive line is going to be really scary for years to come. And they're going to keep drafting offensive linemen every single year. If Jeff Stoutland, keep Jeff Stoutland in the building. Number one thing is keeping him in the building. So I'm excited for these new draft picks. I'm excited, especially with Cam Jurgens. I'm excited for some of the young guys that are kind of waiting to have their chance and some of the competition you have at right guard. So love the offensive line. Love it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, man. Like I said it on your show a couple of days ago, and you were not actually aware of it, but I've actually caught some wind of this from some people that I know. Supposedly, man, this is Stoutland's last year. And
yeah.
I guess supposedly he's going to retire. I don't know if that's true or not, but supposedly Stoutland handpicked Kels to be his heir as our offensive line coach, which I have no issue with because we all know that he's been with Stoutland from the get. So if anyone knows him and has learned anything from him, it's Kels. I'm okay with that. Kels becoming the new offensive line coach after this year, but that's only a rumor that I heard, and that's also why he handpicked Jurgen, because he had to work with him next year. So I don't know if that is something that's truly going to happen, but that's just things that I hear right now.
Yeah, I don't know. He could, I guess. Because we got lucky this past year because I think he tried getting that offensive line job for Alabama and he didn't. He tried getting the offensive line job for Alabama and he didn't get it. He got beat out for it. So I would try to give him like one last stint. If we can give him one contract for like 3 to 4 years, something, it would be great. But having Kelsey be the next heir to the throne for the offensive line coaching job, it's not a bad idea. Not saying that every time a great player becomes a coach is always is a great thing or always works out. But Kelsey, I think you're right. They've been pretty close, and maybe it'll work out. But we got to keep Jeff Stout in the building, man. It's going to be hard shoes to fill. Even if it's not Kelsey, it's going to be really hard shoes to fill.
Oh, for sure, man. You're never going to be able to fill them shoes, honestly.
No.
Even if it is Kels he might get close, but he ain't ever going to be Stoutland. I'm sure there's secrets Stoutland has that he doesn't even know about. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't tell him everything.
Right.
But yeah, no. I'm with you, man. And the one thing that really intrigued me is I believe Jack Driscoll is underrated, man. I think a lot of people don't realize how good this guy actually is. I mean, listen, Lane Johnson, his rookie year, Driscoll's rookie year, he was not in our game the last game against the Washington Commanders. Now, and Driscoll gave up no sacks against Chase Young. That's a first round pick.
Yeah.
Going against a 6th round pick, and that 6th rounder gave up no sacks on him. That's incredible, man, because Chase Young is not a joke. We all know he's a threat. So, I mean, when I look at that, dude, Driscoll, he needs some props a little bit, Oh,
I totally agree. Like, I feel like he'll be a better right tackle than a right guard, but I think he'll maybe be beat out of his right guard position. I think Samal will take it. Plus, he's on obviously Samal's on a bigger contract. He had an extension a couple years ago, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the matchups go. But this line's looking really good. I think we're prepared when Lane Johnson leaves. I think we'll be more prepared, especially with we're going to be drafting. We always draft the trenches really well. So
yeah. Further, man. Kels is already a Hall of Famer in my eyes. Bro. He don't need to do anything else. Like he could crap out this year for crying out loud, and he'd still make the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. So
between him getting snubbed with these Pro Bowls and he's not getting the recognition he deserves, it's kind of a shame. But no, he's definitely going to be there, no doubt.
So listen, man, I also want to hear you talk about Jordan Davis because you're just as high on me as I am. I've been talking about him probably since week 6 of the regular season last year. I've wanted him on this team. I begged for him, and now he's here. What's your take on this big boy Davis, man? And because he makes Cox look small, he really does.
Yeah.
So what's your take on him, and what do you feel he's going to bring to this team this year?
Since we drafted him, and look, I think ever since I watched the Combine, I was like, if the Eagles are not licking their chops right now for this guy to join the squad, I don't know what to say. Because I kind of thought about it, and I was like, you know what, Fletcher Cox, they redone his deal. He's only going to be here for one more year. Hargrave's a free agent after this year, which I think he will get re-signed, and they'll save 12 to 13 in cap space just by extending him. So I think he will get an extension. And then Milt Williams going to his second year, which I'm actually pretty excited for to see what type of jump he takes playing next to Jordan Davis in that second rotation. Jordan Davis, since we drafted him, and obviously the big talk's been he's not a 3-down defensive tackle. He was 360 pounds in the game against Alabama, and he looked lazy, blah, blah, blah. He's a better run stuffer. He can't be a pass rusher. Let me tell you something, okay? As stupid as it sounds, because what do you think? This guy can't pass rush? He can't be in a 3 technique and pass rush? I don't – you know what I mean? To be honest, the guy could play football. The guy could rush. Even in the beginning of OTAs – Jonathan Gann talked about Jordan Davis being violent, okay? And they're going to unleash Jordan Davis. They're not going to be cautious with him. They're not just going to put him in just for the, against the run. He's not just going to play against the run or whatnot. They're going to pin his ears back and he's going to attack, okay? Now, I think the one downfall to Jordan Davis that there could be, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but he's got to maintain his weight. I think that's the number one thing with him because he will lose his explosiveness. I think he's probably within 325 to 330 right now. I think from the Combine from 340 to OTAs, I think now he has dropped from 325 to 330. So this way he has more explosiveness now. So I think he's going to be a total beast. And I think having the mentors in Hargrave and Fletcher Cox and all those guys, I think we're going to see it in preseason. He's going to get snaps in preseason, and we are going to see him demolish. We saw, remember we saw Jordan Mailata against fourth string when we had him and when we drafted him. We saw him against fourth stringers in preseason. He was just tapping them with a finger and they were falling to the ground. This man is going to wreak havoc. I'm not looking for sacks. I'm looking to see if maybe he helps the thing in the rotation if Barnett or Sweat's on his side in that second rotation. If Fletcher Cox starts, even if Fletch this year, if he doesn't play well or if Jordan Davis is playing better and Cox is not producing enough, I'd move Jordan Davis to that first spot and put Cox next to Milton Williams because you know what? If this guy's the future, put him in there. I mean, if he's good against better talent, put him in there. I mean, I don't see why not. I don't see why you wouldn't do that. So I told you and I told everybody else on streams, I said, I said Devontae Wyatt or Jordan Davis will be in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. And when we drafted him, and I understand Kyle Hamilton was on the board, and I know we moved up 2 spots in front of the Ravens. And look, if the Ravens are going to draft a defensive lineman, you know the guy's going to be good, okay? Even they got Ojabo. Even when they drafted Ojabo, you know this man's going to be good. After a whole year of rehabbing and everything like that, you know the man's going to be good. Yep. So I'm very high on Jordan Davis. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people, we gave up too much. And, I understand all that. But Howie Roseman was aggressive in this draft because when he's not aggressive, people complain about it. And when he's too aggressive, then we gave up too much. Like, which one is it? I mean, I'm glad. I don't care about day 3 picks. I don't care about having 4 6-rounders. 10 7th-round picks. I'm just being stupid right now, but you know what I mean. Like having those day 3 picks are great, but those picks you use to move up in cases like this, to sweeten the deal to move up in the first round or whatnot. So very happy with that pick. I can't wait to see Jordan Davis for years to come. I think I'm not saying we're going to lose. I'd say he could have 4 to 7 sacks this year, maybe, between 4 to 7, as a solid start for the year, but he'll take on double teams. And if they don't double team him and if they line him up, in a one technique on the center or whatnot, forget about it. That's where he's very good. And I think he's just learning as he goes. But once he gets through training camp, and I want to see the production level, increase a little bit and see what he does. So Jordan Davis is like top of my list, one of my favorites going to this year.
Oh yeah, man. Like no lie, I'm definitely getting a Jordan Davis jersey, and you're not getting that one. You're not getting.
No.
Listen, man. You talked about his weight. I mean, he was at the combine. He ran a 4.72, I believe it was, at 340 pounds. Dude, that's unheard of. Dude, Cameron Jordan, he ran a 40 faster than Cameron Jordan. Julius Peppers ran his in like a 4.7 flat. Like I said, Jordan Davis was 4.72, so he's right there, and he outweighs these guys by a lot. Yeah. And when you look at him, like in my point of view, at least, dude, Georgia was stacked. They lost Johnson the year before to where did he go again? The defensive end, Florida State, I think.
He went to the Jets. They
were losing people to the trade portal, to go to other just because they weren't getting enough time to play. And last year, in my opinion, dude, Georgia was blowing all these teams out. They were sitting Davis by halftime because they didn't need to play him, to let these other guys get playing time so they didn't lose other people to the transfer portal because they knew this whole defense was getting drafted, so they had to get other people to play, and that's just part of it, but it was Florida State.
Yeah.
Sweet. I was right.
I thought you were saying where he was drafted. I was guessing the Jets, and I thought that was a steal pick from them.
Yeah, exactly, and it was. Yeah. I'm saying he left Georgia to go to Florida State because he was
right.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like I get where people are skeptic of him, but dude, he's really good. I've seen the man get off triple teams and tackle the halfback in the backfield. Like, dude, you're not going to be able to triple team Davis in the NFL because if you do, you're going to kill your quarterback.
Right.
And if you double team Davis, well, Hargraves, Williams, Cox, Hassan Riddick, BG, dude, you're going to get killed by them. If you don't double team him and you double team Cox, Davis is going to kill you. Like, it's disgusting, man. I don't see how anyone can't think that it's not going to work. And to me, Davis is the Warren Sapp of the run. Dude, you're not going to run on this kid. If you try to run by him, he's going to grab you with one arm and just throw you. You know what I mean? And he can chase these guys down. He's very, very fast.
Right. No, it's true. He's got that really good lateral movement. I think not even just his 40, not even with Jordan Davis' 40 time, but his lateral movement was just like insane. Like for a big man to move like that, it's unheard of, man. It's unheard of. If he could transcend that into the NFL with pads on,
right?
I can't even imagine.
And I mean, dude, if he's dropping 20 pounds, his 4.7 is only going to get faster, I would assume.
Oh, 100%. No doubt.
You know? So I don't know what so many people are worried about. I'm not worried. You know what? You might not get the production you want this year from him, but I promise you next year and the year after, you'll start seeing what everyone else saw. You know, and I have a feeling, bro, that that's going to happen this year. Everyone's going to look at Kyle Hamilton and everyone's going to look at Jordan Davis. And sure, I guarantee you Kyle Hamilton's stats are going to be off the wall. And they're going to look at Jordan Davis and be like, see, at 13, we should have fucking taken Kyle Hamilton over. And you know what I'm saying?
Depending what happens to like Brandon Graham after this year, like, I mean, just imagine you have Jordan Davis, Hargrave and having Hassan Reddick on the edge. I mean, that's just insane. I mean, that is just insane.
Yeah.
Going into next year. I mean, you never know. So
we all are very happy Reddick is here. Reddick has come home. You know, this kid had double-digit sacks the last 2 years. I'm expecting him to at least get 16 this year for us. I know a lot of people might be like, wow, that's insane. But, dude, I mean, you look at the talent, and I get it. He was around talent in Carolina last year. But this is a whole different monster now. You know, like, if he's going to show you full potential, this is the year that he shows it with everyone that we have on this defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that Hassan Reddick's full potential will be in this defense this year? Do you have any expectations sack wise for him and stuff like that?
I just attack. I mean, literally, you could he might line up as a Sam linebacker or something, because I think theoretically, until we know what we have in Nakobe Dean, I think you'll have Kaiser White at the mic, you'll have TJ Edwards at the will, and then at the Sam you'll probably be moving him around. But I really want him on the edge. I want him on the edge. I mean, 23 and a half sacks in 2 seasons. If he has less than 10 sacks this year, I'm not putting it on Hassan Reddick. I'm putting it on Jonathan Gannon for not using him the right way. I'm 100%. 23 and a half sacks in 2 seasons. You better be using him right, because he came here for less money. He could have went somewhere else. We got him by luck. We didn't get him because we gave him the most money. We got him by luck. He was the pick before Derek Barnett in 2017. He always wanted to play here. He played at Temple. Got a lot of connections here in this city, so better use him the right way. He's going to have a big year this year if used the right way. Big year. Yeah,
no, man. I see, that's what's sick, because I sit up here and I really, 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 really want to be realistic, and I really want to be serious. But then you also look at this team and it's like you have nothing but excitement, because you know the potential that we hold. You see the talent that is on this roster, and if it all works out, dude, it could be a very exciting year. So I try to sit here and keep myself timid. You know, I don't want to get too excited. I don't want to get too far off the wall. But, dude, the excitement around this team is just ridiculous, man. Like, you see it and you want to be like, but you can't, because it's like, all right, well, because we've had other good teams and look what they've done. You know, and I don't want to go down that road, and I don't think we will. You know, I'm probably don't make me regret saying that, Philly. Seriously, don't. Dude, this linebacking core, people were talking about it in the chat. You know, this was our weak spot on our defense last year, hands down. You know, Singleton was getting knocked on his ass every single play. He wasn't even stopping them; they were just running over him. You have White, you have Dean. You know, you got Johnson back there, TJ Edwards. You got Sean Taylor from 2020, and who's the other one? Taylor and Bradley. You know, with the amount of talent that we absorbed this offseason in the linebacking room, do you see any way that these rookies have a chance of displaying their talents at this point, or did they wait too long? Because White could take over, bro. Dean could take over. TJ already kind of did take over. He's shown us a lot. So, I mean, is there any more room left?
I mean, no. I mean, I think when I first started to see that they were going to change this position was when they released Alex Singleton. That was like the big, like, holy crap. Like, I was shocked, because that's like, Unfortunately, it was besides TJ Edwards, he was like our best guy backup wise because he's when Alex Singleton is on, he's on. When he's off, he just can't get it done. When he's getting pushed around or getting blocked, I mean, he's just a nightmare. But I was really happy with it. And even though they kept 7 linebackers last year. Last year they kept 7 linebackers. I thought the first combination we really liked last year was TJ Edwards and Davion Taylor. And I thought Taylor played really well until he got hurt. And that's when I was like, damn. So hopefully a big chip on his shoulder this year and really good. Because blame Jim Schwartz for not playing him when they drafted him. He had Nate Gary. How the veteran favoritism with Jim Schwartz was ridiculous, and that we lost games because of that. And obviously being a little bit cautious and didn't know how to use young players, didn't know how to use linebackers and corners. And which we needed this year for that position. Last year for that position to be well. Our corners played better than mostly or any other position we had defensively. TJ Edwards obviously could be gone after this year. Kaiser White's on a 1-year deal, which the Eagles were actually interested in Kaiser White since the first day of free agency, and they didn't think they were going to get him. And I guess maybe the Chargers let him go because they just didn't fit a scheme with that revamped defense that they made over there. Super Bowl contenders this year, definitely 100%. And then having Davion Taylor in the back end, and then the Kobe Dean is a big, not really, I'm not saying a question mark, but we haven't really seen him in live action yet. I want to see how he produces as everything goes on. So as I said with the Mike, the Will, and the Sam linebacker, I'm not going to put Nakobe Dean in there until I think he's transitioning himself to be a middle linebacker, just see what he brings to the table. But it's a very packed room, which I'm happy now. We'll actually have a couple decisions to make after this year, who they're going to re-sign. I think Kaiser White is going to play really, really well. He might even be better than TJ Edwards. And then even having Sean Bradley not getting much playing time, but when you need him, he can come in for a few plays or for a game or whatnot. And he's a good special teamer. So I think you're pretty much set at that position for years to come. Like if they produce these guys the right way, I think they can get it right. And I'm really glad, man, that they really, we talked about Howie Roseman, and I honestly think 100% since the rumors about Nick Sirianni getting hired and Jeffrey Lurie pulling back, I think a lot of these picks, I think Jeffrey Lurie has been the middle of a lot of these picks for a long time. I honestly believe that. And I feel like I say to myself, is Howie Roseman really that stupid with some of these decisions? I think he's had pushback from Jeffrey Lurie. I think he's had pushback from Andy Weidel. I think he's had a lot of pushback and he couldn't make his own, which is weird because we've never defended this guy. But I honestly think that, and I even from the first night of the draft, even like the press conference that night, you saw like it was just a different vibe in that room with Nick, and there was a nice collaborative effort between those two, and they seemed like very comfortable. They weren't so like stuck up and like they were stiff, and they were just like talking professionally, and it was just being weird. It felt like they were just so close, and I feel like there's something going on here. And then, Jeffrey Lurie telling, we drafted, after drafting Lance Dickerson, Devontae Smith, it's like, maybe you should draft more players from the SEC. Maybe you should draft from these bigger schools. Well, no duh. Like, you're telling me that you weren't letting Howie Roseman draft from these bigger schools? Like, is that what we're coming to now? So it's just, I give Howie Roseman one more offseason to really show what he's got. And then let's just say Hurts is getting a contract. Hurts works out, plays fantastic, and we get to keep these 2 first-rounders and that second-rounder next year. If Howie Roseman pulls off another fantastic offseason, I'm starting to believe that there was a lot of pushback from Jeffrey Lurie and Andy Weidel and whoever else was in Howie Roseman's way to make his own decisions. 100%, even though from what they've said to us, even though when Howie Roseman said that he has the final say,
yeah,
was it really that? You know what I mean? So I definitely have liked Howie Roseman a lot, and obviously the trades have been fantastic the past couple of years. Everything's been just perfect. It was just more perfect this year because they've reworked the cap a little bit. The cap is becoming more healthy. We're not going to restructure from $75 million all the way under, because last year free agency the first day, if you remember, we restructured all the way under to what? we got under 3 million. We were under the cap 3 million first day of free agency. Like, we had a slow and strategic free agency last year. We didn't think we were going to be that busy. We had a little bit of cap space this year, so the cap is getting better. Stop restructure ever since the Super Bowl. Restructure, bad drafts and restructures and kicking the can down the road. Freeing up more cap space now and getting bigger cap hits later, which is totally killing this team. And I think the cap space is definitely getting more healthy now. And I think we're seeing it. I don't think we're seeing a different side of Howie Roseman. I think we're seeing him capably of what he could do as a GM when he's not getting pushed back from everybody else in the front office and the owner. That's what I think.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because I even said that after the draft, man, as well. Like, you could see a difference in Howie Roseman for once. He didn't seem tense. He seemed like that him and Nick were on the same page. They both wanted the same thing. Like, when you look back at Doug and him, you could see some tension.
Hell yeah.
You could always see it, but with them, it just flows naturally. You can tell that Nick and Howie both like working with each other. They both think the same way. And I'm okay with that if it works. If it works, go for it. 100%, whatever benefits this team. But do it and don't break us. Because if I'm not mistaken, other than our rookies and our rookie contracts that we have, there is only 3 people on this defense that have a contract to next year. Everyone else is a free agent, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Which means a lot of these guys are playing for new contracts. I mean, that's a lot of dudes, man. Only 3 people guaranteed in the next year on this defense.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people playing for a lot of positions right now. And I hope that brings out the best in everyone, because Harris don't know if he's going to be here. Epps don't know. None of these guys do. And I don't even know who the 3 people are, to be honest. I just know there's 3 of them.
And the problem is, like, these Eagle fans need to relax during free agency, because everyone was like, we're not making enough moves. Like, I mean, we had cap space, but we didn't have like that much to like go crazy. That people got to realize, like, the year before the offseason, we locked up a lot of guys. Like, that was part of our free agency, locking up Maddox and Mulata and Sweat and all those guys. Like, that was part of our free agency. That's what people need to realize. Like, people think we get in the free agency and we can just do whatever we want. I mean, they could do whatever they want. They can overpay and do what they want, but they have to, it's not like because you have a certain amount of cap space, you only sign this person to a certain amount. Like, you could sign someone, be over the cap, and then you got to make moves to fit them under the cap. Like, that's the next step. So that free agency, like, it wasn't busy. Why are the Eagles in it? Eagles are interested in this, and they passed. Eagles are interested in that, and they passed. They passed on so many players, and we're just like, what the hell is this team doing? So I felt like Howie was like being strategic. He knew the market for a lot of positions, especially safety, wide receiver. That's why he didn't pull the trigger at wide receiver. And they got something done the day of the draft earlier that afternoon before we had the draft that night. So I feel like it's been a very he's been smart. You have to lock up players. Like, once you lock up players, you build around those players. Like, that's what the whole point of that is, because I would rather not go into a free agency where we have no defense, no good players at all, and just sign all these players, just like how the Giants did last year. Look great on paper. They just spent so much money, and it's just like, then you have a shorter window when you do that, because then you're paying so much, all these cap hits, and these numbers are just going up every single year. Obviously, with the A.J. Brown, the A.J. Brown trade, you gave up no picks on the second day. You gave up no picks from the Eagles-Saints trade. Okay, you gave up a first and a third for a 25-year-old receiver that you really could have drafted. So theoretically, in my opinion, if I could count A.J. Brown in this draft that we kind of drafted him, I'd say you got 4 players between Jordan Davis, A.J. Brown, Nakobe Dean, and Cam Jurgens. You got 4. You can hit on 4 players from this draft this year, and that's the Eagles never do that. You know what I mean? So it could happen. So I got a lot of faith, man. Look, what I do on my channel, and like, I'm very realistic. Like, I'm not just going to kiss ass, and I'm not just going to go through the trend of what everyone's talking about. Like, if I feel like something's not going to work, it's not going to work. I'm not just going to say something just to say it, So I'm telling you, man, it's money wise will be good next year. Like the Eagles will make more moves, and you don't want to lock up guys too fast and sign guys to contracts quick, because then later down the road you might be, man, I shouldn't have done that move. Now it's going to mess us up to make this move. So I would rather have more free agents coming in next year. This way there is options, and you don't have to be locked into a player that you shouldn't have paid him more money than we were supposed to get. So
I agree, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Enrico, to answer this now, I don't know how familiar you are with it, and I understand where Rico's coming from here. The Rams make it look like there is no cap, and I get that. And I tried to do some research on this. Have you ever heard of cash over cap?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, wow. Do I get to teach Joey Shakes something?
Maybe. I learn something every day. So,
all right, sweet. Now, I don't know how dead on I'm going to be here, but just following down the rabbit hole. So cash over cap, like there's certain teams out there who have the bigger markets, like us and the Rams and New York, us big time football market. We can sometimes use cash over cap. Like you have your cap space of what you're allowed to use, but then you also have cash that you just have, and you, like, for instance, the signing bonus, that's a way of using cash over cap. Your signing bonus is from your own, like, personal cash thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I said, I'm still learning this, but then you have your cap. So you can actually give somebody a contract less money in the cap wise, but make up for it in the cash department, as in the signing bonuses. And that's how the Rams got away with that. They gave their players less of a contract, but their signing bonus was cash. So therefore it equals out the contract, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why certain teams can get away with that and certain teams can't. The smaller market football fan bases aren't going to be able to use as much cap or cash. They lean towards more the cap because they're a smaller football market, to where the bigger football markets can put more of their own cash into the contracts rather than use cap. You understand what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
So that's kind of the way I took it, and that's kind of how I found out how the Rams were doing it, because I was interested too. I was like, how the hell are they doing all this? That's how they got money. They're big.
I mean, they're losing draft picks. I mean, draft pick wise, they're just depleting draft picks. So like they guaranteed need to win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, that's what they're working towards, obviously. I mean, every team's working towards that, but the way they're doing things, they're definitely trying to make another run. So
yeah, Scoob, we did. Here you go, buddy. Real fast. I'll put it up for you. I had it up at the beginning, but I will do it again. Yeah, they don't look too bad, dude. I'm okay with them. I can handle it. But there you go, buddy. I think I could have done a little bit better, but that's just me. But yeah, that's them, dude. They're just black metallic white. It's cool. Pretty badass.
Yeah, it's solid. I mean, I'm not like, oh my god, look at that. No, it's like It looks good.
But will the Rams have a team player-wise in 3 to 5 years? No, dude, you're right. I mean, when it comes to draft picks, they're kind of screwed. In my point, like, because they did this, they're going to always have to do this now, because they're always giving away draft picks to fill holes that when people leave. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to stop sometime. I just don't know when.
They still got to pay Odell. I mean, if that's where he's going.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Like, cash over cap, that's way out of my league, dude. Like I said, that's a Gate City question for sure. I just kind of learned that, and but that is how they're doing it. It has something to do with cash over cap, man.
I'm just saying that man deserves it because he sparked that offense. He sparked that offense in that Super Bowl. I mean, I was really happy for him. As much as we hated him on the Giants, I was literally happy for him that, like, he had his moment. Like, he's in the Super Bowl. If he just stayed healthy the rest of that game, oh my god, like, he was just amazing. Because to me, because earlier in the year with the Rams, like he wasn't. Same was when Deshaun Jackson went to the Rams. They weren't using him the right way. They were taking him out of plays, like they were taking him out as not as a starter, and they were getting pissed off. And Odell was getting pissed off. You saw him in some of these games where he's walking back to the sideline. He's like, "What the hell is going on? Like, why am I getting taken out of the game?" But he proved himself, though. I mean, he really did.
Yeah, no, man. I will give it to Odell, dude. He's matured a lot. And he's. I mean, it is what it is, but I think he's found his home with the Rams. They seem to fit well together. He was going off during that Super Bowl till he got injured, man. He was going crazy. So I think he fits in well there. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I believe it.
So the last two positions that I'm going to bother you with before we get out of here, dude, is our cornerback and safety. I believe our cornerback room is probably the best it's been in, I'd say, 5 years, dude. I understand that we won a Super Bowl with Jalen Mills as our CB, but I mean, even Jalen Mills is not as good as what Bradbury is. So I feel a lot comfortable there. You got Slay on one side, Bradbury, and then a Maddox. Maddox was the top rated cover slot corner last year in all of football. The top, number one. So you already know what he can do. This is one dangerous cornerback core. I'm not even going to lie. And then you add in Josh Jobe and McPherson and Tay Gowan, dude. These young guys going to come up here eventually when Slay steps down, and who knows how Bradbury will be here. But I really like what we have at corner, man. We have not been deep like this as far back as I can remember. I don't even know if you can, but
no, not like this. No. Usually when we lost the corner, we'd be like, we're screwed.
Yeah, exactly.
We're done. Yeah. Game's over.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm stoked, dude. Like, this is the first time that our cornerback room, I'm comfortable. I truly am comfortable from now and even 2 years from now. Because if Tay can be what he is, McPherson can be what he is, and when Slay and Bradbury's not here anymore, man, who knows, dude? We might have our next 1 and 2 already. How you feel about them?
I mean, I'm not gonna say like we have any. I'm not gonna say we have anything yet, but I mean, it's a deep room. I mean, they have what? They probably have like 10 corners, probably 10, 11 corners in the building right now. So, I mean, I'm excited to see like Tay Gowan, Zach McPherson, Matt McCain, Kerry Vincent Jr. But I think I'm really excited for Jimmy Moreland. Getting him off waivers, and he's got a lot of starring experience. I thought it was a total steal when we got Jimmy Moreland. Tay Gowan from the Zach Ertz trade actually was supposed to be drafted by the Eagles last year, but obviously, Arizona picked him up. I think we just got to see what we have, man. Like Mario Goodrich, they gave him the most undrafted free agent money. If you guys remember, Jack Stahl got a lot of that undrafted free agent money last year and became more of a blocking tight end for us. Not much in the receiving game, but with Mario Goodrich, I thought, he's a dynamic player. Josh Jobe could probably play a little bit of safety, so you never know what you have. But Mario Goodrich got the most of the undrafted free agent money, so I'm maybe they see something in him. If a lot of bodies at corner, I wouldn't mind cross training a lot of these guys to safety as well, which we'll get into that position. But I wouldn't mind cross training some of these guys to see what they could do. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say we have see what we have a number 1 and number 2 for the future. I mean, I would say maybe a number 2 if they could find one here. But definitely a big competition at this position. Probably one of my favorites going into training camp. So,
yeah, last year we played more zone than we did man, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, we did.
If you call it zone, or if you just call it standing there and letting players, run by you, and I mean, if you call that zone, then I guess that's what it means.
No, bro, I hated that about, and that's something that Bradbury makes me feel a lot better about. Last year, I hated watching Nelson stand 10 yards off the wide receiver and him just do a 5-yard slant and run right by him. Like, that pissed me off so bad. How many touchdowns did he give up on the 5-yard line being chucked to because he was halfway in the end zone? And all they did is a quick slant touchdown. Like, it's happened so many times. Bradbury, if I'm not mistaken, he's more of a man corner than he is a cover or a zone. He can play zone. He's more dominant man. So hopefully we go more to a man defense on the corner side, because with Slay and Bradbury, dude, that should be a pretty damn good combination. You know what
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Eagle fans that are like, kind of up and down with Bradbury because, he has been a Pro Bowler in a couple years. He gave up over 800 yards receiving last year, but they're not putting too much on his plate, as a number 2 now. So, I mean, and maybe that will help. And, the Giants it was a dumpster fire anyway. So I can't put that much blame on him. So hopefully, I was glad because I think it's a big, after Steven Nelson signed to the Texans like really early, like it was a really quick signing. I was like, damn, I guess they were just like, nah, we don't want him. I probably want a little bit more money, but I think on the same thing, on the same page with Bradbury. Plus he knows, he knows the division, he knows the players, especially the Giants, obviously. So we'll see, man. It's a 1-year deal. I think he's gonna pan out really well. I think he's gonna play really well. Like I said, not too much on his plate. Slay's taking, the best guy on the field. So we'll see, man. I think this corner group, plus we're gonna have a lot more depth now. It's gonna be great. Like I said, the Tay Gowan. Definitely excited for Zach McPherson going to his second year. And Jimmy Moreland coming off waivers, as I said before. Like Jimmy Moreland was a steal coming off waivers. And this guy has a lot, probably the most experienced backup we have right now, and that was a really good pickup by the Eagles. So sky's the limit for the backup cornerback spot, to see what we have going into obviously next year, after we see what we have this year, and then going into 23. It's gonna be nice to see what we have.
So Scoob's got a question for you, bud. He said, I want to follow up on what Joey said about Howie earlier. I would be surprised if J.J. Reagor get cut this year. That would tell me a lot about why all the changes in the front office also.
Oh, no, like JJ, they just had to put him somewhere, and I mean, they put him in a losing situation. Like he's been in a losing situation ever since he's been drafted here. But he's they're putting him as a tight end, like where there's not that many bodies there that are like Calcaterra, you got Jack Stahl. I don't think he's beaten out either of those guys, regardless, because I think he's slower than shit anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Sorry, dude, as a tight end, and we all know you can't do that, bro.
You might as well just put him on as a tight end last year because he's probably slower than that. So, and Reagor is, and look, I'm not going to go through the whole thing with Reagor. We all know like the whole thing with Reagor, but I think he's a big release candidate. I think they've tried to trade him. I think that the Eagles have wanted more out of this trade. I think even when the Ravens and Eagles talked during the draft about a potential Chuck Clark-Reagor trade, I think the Eagles wanted too much, maybe a third and a fourth for Jalen Reagor. I think at this point, he either will be released before training camp or during training camp, he will be released. I don't think he's getting traded. I think he's flat out going to be gone because you don't sign A.J. Brown and get Zach Pascal. Maybe some people think that I did my stream at Lindy a few days ago, and he talked about, maybe Pascal was the substitution for J-Jaw, maybe. And I could definitely believe that, but you're not signing A.J. Brown for Jalen Reagor to still start over Pascal or Quez Watkins in the slot. It's just not going to happen. And then you sign Devon Allen through a 3-year deal, and then you bring Britton Covey in for special teams, and you're telling me right now that this guy, there's nowhere for him to go. Nowhere for him to go. I don't see him. There's nowhere for him to go on this team where he can walk and be free and get to a position. He can't even give us special teams. He can't even do that for us right now. So Reagor just gives me a headache, as you can see.
No, dude, he's a headache of mine. Did you not see my complete meltdown last year of him during the Tampa game when he went for that punt?
Oh, man.
Like the only punt all year long that you went to grab was that one in the playoff game with a dude standing feet in front of your face. Like, it made no sense. But that's the thing. Reagor and Hightower, dude, I think they both are done already. They like Hightower. Hell, dude, we haven't even seen him.
I know we haven't seen him, but I trust Hightower hopping on one leg than Reagor on two. I would at least as much as Hightower when he had his chance and they didn't use him the right way because he's not that go route receiver. I mean, he's just not. Like, I don't know why they even used him as like a deep threat. He's not. Use him middle of the field. Like, and they didn't even use him for special teams all because he had at least a special teams perk coming into the league. So I mean. And I really wasn't even big on Quez Watkins coming out of that draft because people were telling me, I was more of a Hightower fan because people were like, once Quez Watkins gets his shot, you just watch. I'm like, no, it's not going to happen. I was just like, yeah, bullshit. So I didn't know what was going to happen. But, yeah, I mean, I trust any receiver. Like, I trust Weedfall. I trust Josh Hammond. I don't know who these guys are, but I trust them more than Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor, at least if you want to compare him to Nelson Aguilar, at least Nelson Aguilar got separation. I mean, at least the guy could – it was a really good route runner.
Screw that, bro. Nelson Aguilar had 800 yards for us one year. This dude hasn't got over 300 yet. What do you mean?
I mean, 2 touchdowns for the year, whatever it is. Like, I mean, it's just he fights with the fans. I mean, he can't stay off social media. Like, that's just his downfall. Like, when he knows he screws up in a game, his psyche is just it's fucked. I mean, it's screwed. I mean, it's that's what it is, man.
Bro, I will trade back for Nelson Aguilar. Bring him back. We'll send Reagor to freaking the Patriots. You want him? Take him. I'll bring Aguilar.
You're supposed to give like receivers 3 years, but I just can't. Like, I understand he's got a lot of personal stuff going on. Like, 2 best friends of his died the past couple of years. I totally understand that, but when it comes to a football standpoint, like this, I mean, your father was an NFL defensive lineman. Like, I just don't get how you act like some like you laugh crap off and like I only draw like only 1 catch or only 2, whatever the hell he said during that after that Giants presser. Like, after that game, I was done, and then by that Tampa game, I was really done. I was like, just totally finished. So. There's no room for him. There's nowhere for him to go. I think the Eagles have covered their tracks, literally.
I hope so, man. Because listen, I like Covey. And in all honesty, I believe Covey could be like the CMC of kick returning. I'm not gonna lie. I like Allen. I can't wait to see Allen, dude. Like, if this kid is anywhere as fast as what everyone says he is, like he should just be like Devin Hester out there, like. Yeah, Reese Lightning just down the field.
I just got to see his route running and obviously how good his catching is. Other than that, like I think his vision's going to be good. I think he's going to come into camp with a big vengeance because of obviously getting disqualified in that hurler championship competition. When he was a 1 in 1,000th of a second too early, which was BS bullshit, stupid machine. Oh, yeah. All right, so this is what happened. So this was last Sunday evening, championship hurler competition. He literally, a machine. So when they're all lined up in their track stance and when the gun goes off and they start running, he was a 1 in 1,000th of a second early coming off the line. They showed the replay. The commentators were furious and pissed off. This is based off of a machine. A machine is telling you this. And he was so pissed off, he literally got disqualified because of that reason. I mean, it was really sad. It was really sad, to be honest with you. And, like, he could have won. Everyone thought he was going to win. He would have won. So this man is going to come into training camp like, I am beating everybody in my path. I'm telling you. And I think just because, like, I picked Devin Allen over Covey, even though I really like Covey a lot, just because I think he's had an offseason with a team. Back in 2016, he had an offseason with a NFL team. He's never played an NFL snap, but he's had an offseason before. So he's done this offseason program before. I'm not saying that Covey's not going to be anything. I can't wait to see the competition, but Devon Allen is no joke. And they signed him to – the problem is, like, not a problem, but they signed him to a 3-year deal in the beginning. And I was like, and I didn't even heard this guy. I'm like, why did they sign this guy to a 3-year deal? And apparently, this guy has been in the Olympics. I mean,
yeah.
If you want effort, you're going to get it from this guy. This man was in the Olympics, and this guy isn't going to slack for 1 second. So you're getting a guy that's determined to win the job. So I'm not saying he's got to be a focal. I'm not saying he's going to be a backup receiver in this offense, which I hope maybe one day they could use him as a gadget receiver. But I need to see if he could be a punt returner / kick returner, and he'll get his chance. So yeah, it's going to be nuts.
Actually, further, you want to know what's even crazier than that? They have something even more in common, dude. There's only 3 people in the NFL in 20 games to have less than 1,000 yards in NFL history. That is Darius Hayward-Bay, Nelson Aguilar, and Jalen Reagor. And 2 of them were on our team. That's how bad it is.
I can't say they're similar. I really can't. Like, I'm getting nothing from Reagor. I'm getting nothing. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, he gets bullied off the line from cornerback. Sometimes he can't. He runs out of bounds, run back. Guy can't even. He doesn't have any vision of where he's going. His hand-eye coordination to catch a ball is like, he puts his hand up here and the ball's over there. Like, I don't get it. Like, there's just something, his psyche, man. Like, when right before he catches that ball, he's like, oh my God, please don't fuck up. That's, I swear to God, like, if you have that mindset, I don't care if you're a 1st-round pick or a 7th-round pick, you're done. You're done as a player. You will never start. If he's on another roster last year, if he's on another roster, this guy is not starting. This guy would have been benched by week 4 of the season. There's no way that, because the Eagles have to justify it and say, oh, well, we got to see if he has something. Let's just wait. Like, I'm tired of it. So hopefully if I see Reagor and J-Jaw cut, released, whatever the case may be during training camp, I'm telling you right now, like, I know this damn organization is going in a really good direction. I know it for a fact.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, man, I was done with Jalen Reagor well before this past year. But the one that put the icing, there's 2 moments of Jalen Reagor's this year that put the icing on the cake for me. And they all came in 1 week. Okay? The first one, who the fuck catches a ball with their eyes closed? That's the thing I want to know. Like, dude, you are in the NFL. Why are you closing your fucking eyes? You have a helmet on for a reason. Like, keep your eyes open, watch the ball, hit your hands, and catch the damn ball. Okay? And 2, after you miss those 2 big plays, you come out and you are like, it doesn't matter. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's no big deal. Dude, I never want to hear a player say that. It's a very big fucking deal that you missed those 2 catches. They were the catches for the game, dog. Well, you can't come out in Philly and be like, doesn't matter. Like, it's as bad. It's as bad as, it's pretty much saying the same thing. It's as bad as Carson Wentz saying we just got to get better every single week. Like, if I heard that shit one more time, like, I would have been going out of my mind. Like, that's like at least say it's on me, or like something like that. At least have some humility. At least have some type of, like, be a human being, and don't say it's not your fault. Like, it's the team, obviously, but you dropped 2 balls. I mean, even that one, the Giants game on the goal line, like, I don't think he would have got that touchdown anyway. I think he would have been pushed. I don't think he would have got that. I mean, he would have been the hero of that game and then screw up the next week. It doesn't really matter. But, I was done after that game. I was done. First one, though, Joey. At least the first one, yeah, you closed your eyes. But the second one, dog, you literally watched it leave your QB's fucking hands. You watched it come right at you. Like, how does that get through your hands? You watched it the entire time. You know what I mean? Like, that you as a 1st-round pick should not miss a ball that you're staring down right into your freaking hands. Like, that's insane, dude. You can't do that. But,
bye.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
That's my answer.
I'm done, man. I can't take it anymore.
Look,
dude. If Derek Barnett comes out and gets one more personal foul this year, I'm gonna wring his fucking neck. I'm not lying.
I would rather have Derek Barnett play on a bigger contract than him play for one more friggin' year.
That is
not
true.
Kidding.
I will give
not kidding.
At least Derek Barnett has 21.5 sacks. Reagor can't even get over 300 yards receiving. Like,
that's what I'm saying, dude.
Anyway, I think that's enough of the Reagor talking stuff. I'm getting hot again, and I don't want that.
Yeah, it's already hot as it is.
Already hot. So, man, the last position we got to go over is safety. We picked up Tart. I think Epps is going to have a huge year, and that's just my opinion. I really think I'm going Epps. Harris seemed like a pretty solid piece back there. Dude, Wallace has kicked me in the balls over and over.
Screw that guy. Screw him.
Dude, I was so behind this kid when we drafted him. You know, even Dawkins had me going. He's like, oh, he's the next best thing. You know, like I was all for him, but dude, he hasn't really done anything yet. I hope they give him an opportunity this year, dude, because I want to be proven right. I don't want to look stupid by backing him the last 2 years, but dude, he's got some work to do as well. So what do you feel about this safety room, and do you think this is our weakest area of offense and defense, or do you have one that's worse than it?
No, I think safeties are worst. I think safety is the worst position right now. I think they have. I really was never a Marcus Epps fan, but then he played really solid last year, and I put respect on his name last year when he was playing really well. Anthony Harris, I thought they just signed him because I don't think he played well. Even since we've really had him, I don't think he's played that great. But I feel like they signed him because he knows the defense, he knows the players, he knows the scheme. It is what it is. So, Rodney McLeod went to the Colts. They weren't going to re-sign him because he's on the descending side of his career as of right now. I don't think with McLeod is definitely not. He's just getting hurt way too much. So at this point, Tart was a good depth signing. I mean, the Eagles have tried upgrading this spot with Tyrann Mathieu. They couldn't get him. They tried getting Marcus Williams. They were so close to that number, just couldn't get it done. So I feel like and this goes from this year into next year. Obviously, the Jesse Bates stuff, what's going on, he's holding out and stuff like that. I feel like the Eagles are putting their cap space. I think the one position that they're going to sign going into from now until next year is going to be for a safety. I don't think Derwin James is going to be let go of the Chargers. I doubt it. But I think you could trade for Eddie Jackson. I think you can actually go and maybe make a move. We'll see what happens. Chuck Clark was definitely a possibility this year because he could play multiple spots. And obviously, the Ravens are stacked on safeties right now. So I think they're good for where they're at. I think maybe they could just, go through training camp, go through preseason. We'll see how the season goes for a few weeks and how that position is going. Like maybe Tar can take Anthony Harris' spot later on. Who knows who's really going to show up? Kevon Wallace has been nothing but a poser. In my opinion, has been like a Brian Dawkins wannabe poser, opens his mouth every 2 seconds. I mean, he's always hurt. He's got a fumble recovery on punts. I mean, that's really it. That is it. That is all he has. He has done. Huh?
I feel like I jinxed him.
Well, it's not. Well, dude, even from PFF, which I think it's BS anyway, he was like one of the most projected, really good picks coming out of that draft. As what was he, a 4th rounder? I mean, he was projected to be really, really good, but he just talks way too much. And he's like, even when the team's playing bad, he was talking on Twitter too much. Like, dude, before you say a damn word, work on yourself to get better and actually help this team instead of just talking at the fans. And, I just don't think he has anything. You have Reed Blankenship undrafted from Duke. I don't know what he's going to do. So I'm not going to put too much stock into him too much, but I think it's a weak position right now, but I think they've upgraded, putting Tart as some depth, and Marcus Epps. I want to see him take that next, the next level up, and see what happens. I think money will go into that position next year, definitely 100%.
Yeah.
So,
all right, man. Before we get out of here, listen, I have been known to say it. I have us going between 10 to 12 wins, 13 if we're lucky. This team is unbelievable so far on paper. I need to see it on the field first. I really do. Come week 1 to week 5, I'll know all I need to know from that point on. But from what everyone is saying, from what's on paper and from what we've accumulated in the offseason, dude, there is no reason anyone in this fan base should not be excited. This team it has totally been rebuilt for the most part. In literally like a year and a half, because I technically count it from when we benched Carson to now,
Right.
So that was kind of our rebuild. And like I said, last year we made the playoffs, if you want to technically count it as a rebuild. So the only way is up, man, and I'm really at 10 to 12, possibly even 13, but where are you at on this team? Just early record prediction wise, because our schedule is not that tough, dude. It really isn't.
Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, that's why for content creator wise, I hate doing schedule predictions because they're just so like they're fun to do, but they're just like so unrealistic because with injuries and in a perfect world when Jonathan Gannon, is not being cautious all year with this defense, and hopefully with this offensive coordinator we play really well and Jalen Hurts takes a big step forward, but 10 games or less, that's inexcusable. I mean, you get 10. I think 10 games is so excusable. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, I have them at 13 wins. I mean, I have them 6-0 before the bye week. I mean, they could take this to the top, like no joke. I feel really the meat and potatoes of this schedule is probably when we face the Titans to Green Bay, maybe, I mean, depending what Green Bay is going to be, obviously, not having Adams there. So I don't know what it's going to look like over there, but I think that's really the main meat and potatoes of the schedule. But other than that, like, I feel like they have the bye week's perfect. I feel like they have between when they play the Texans on Thursday night to when Carson Wentz comes to the link Monday night, they have like a mini bye there. So they have like 10 days, in case people are bruised up a little bit, they can give some guys some rest on it, for 10 days or whatnot, if they have to do that. I mean, 13 wins, man, is where I kind of been aiming. And like, I'm not trying to overhype it or nothing, but you're telling me with this roster and this defense right now, you're only going to get 10 wins this year. There is just no way. There's just no way. They got to be at 13 wins this year. It's all going to depend on both coordinators and Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's it. So
yeah, you're right, dude. I mean, dude, I've already looked at the schedule with Philly Foothills or Philly Foothills. Yeah, I did look at it with Philly Foothills, but I looked at it with Philly 500 too, and everyone I bring on. And if you look at this, dude, there really isn't. I mean, dude, in all honesty, I can see us going like 8-1, 9-0 in the first 9 weeks, like you said. Like there might the only one defense in the first 9 weeks that truly scares me is Pittsburgh. Their defense is fabulous. Their offense,
is a freaking disaster.
Yeah, but their defense is amazing.
It's good. Yes, their defense is great.
That's like the only thing you need to worry about the first 9 weeks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, depending with the Steelers, who a quarterback is he even going to be starting at that point? I mean, Trubisky's the starter right now. I think he's going to be benched sooner. He'll probably be he'll probably be benched way before week 8. And anyway, I think we'll be seeing the new quarterback in there. So, the bye, it's an early bye. It sucks. I don't like buys that early. Don't get me wrong, but I think Dallas is beatable. Obviously, no DeAndre Hopkins for that Cardinals game, which is going to be huge. And I don't think Hollywood Brown is going to be anything of a, is going to take his spot to make any difference. I mean, he is a good player, but the Jags, come to Philadelphia is going to be interesting. Dougie P coming to Philly. So, I mean, this is a new team with a lot of new pieces right now. So I think definitely beatable. The Lions definitely got better, but do they have the right head coach? Is Jared Goff? I mean, I'm not a big Jared Goff fan at all. I'm just not. I feel like he reminds me of Sam Bradford in a lot of ways. I feel like if you keep Jared Goff in the pocket and you just pressure him after I think 2.5 seconds, I just feel like he's going to be, it's going to be hunting season. Yeah. The Vikings will be a tough one. I got to say, I think once we get through a really bad team in Detroit first week, and then you go to, I'll be at this game. I got tickets for it, which I can't wait for this primetime game against the Vikings. So, that it'll be a tough one. It'll be nice. 2 really good tests in the beginning, and then obviously, going to Washington. So it doesn't scare me. It really doesn't.
I don't know. And like you said, dude, our meat and potatoes are literally right there in the middle, 11, 12, and 13. Mm-hmm. I do have an honest feeling that we lose to Indy, man. Matt Ryan's only going to make that team better compared to what Carson. No, I'm serious. Dude, their defense, I got to throw some losses in there somewhere.
No, I know.
And their defense, in all honesty, isn't that bad.
No, it's great. It's good.
I really want to give this story for Green Bay and also Tennessee, but dude, it's any given Sunday, bro. It's
The Colts have done very well in getting like veteran receivers over there. They've done a really good job. Like even when Phillip Rivers went there, I didn't think he was going to do anything, but man, did he play really friggin' well over there. I got to say, like I give props to him. Like they gave him offensive line help. I mean, he got to a new team where he had protection, he had a running back, he had receivers. I mean, I feel like I think Matt Ryan is gonna play pretty well this year. I hope he does. Like I think even with a rebuilding Falcons team right now and the decision they made, even though I think they only gave up I forgot what they gave up for him. They gave up nothing. I mean, the Colts gave up absolutely nothing from him, this is a guy that has a $40 million dead cap. And then the Falcons came out and they're like, oh, we're just going to give Matt Ryan. We give Matt Ryan a lot of respect. I'm like, dude, like a $40 million dead cap hit and you're going to give him away for a fifth, whatever it was, a fourth, I forgot what it was, a third to a fifth, whatever it was. It was one pick it was ridiculous. So it's a good schedule. The Bears are going to be no problem. I mean, the Saints is an important one because of the draft pick, obviously, and they have a really tough schedule this year. And Baker Mayfield going to the Panthers, does that make a big difference? We'll see. And
the Saints are sneaky, dude. They're either going to be sneaky good or they're going to be sneaky bad. And then that all depends on Jameis Winston, to be honest. Yeah,
so. and it's Jameis Winston, but at the same time, like Alvin Kamara, if he's not there for 6 weeks, I mean, he runs. I mean, it goes through him in that offense. I mean, it really goes through him, which could be a little bit of a shock. But even Michael Thomas is already on PUP list already. I mean, he's still not even ready to play yet, and he's already been out a year and a half. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, how much time do you need, bro? What are you doing? I think the receiver core is good. Olave and getting Landry, I think it's great. But their defense, are they be a top 4 like they were last year? I don't know. I mean, their defense should be pretty stout this year. But
Sean Payton,
yeah, Sean Payton's huge. Him being gone is. I totally forgot about that. Him being gone is huge. I mean, definitely 100%. No joke. Like, that's a big difference. Like, so I don't know. The Saints are, I mean, everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a top 5 pick. I'm like, it's not going to be a top 5 pick. All right, it's not. I mean, I doubt it. I'd say top 15, maybe. I mean, I don't think it'll be as bad as everyone thinks they're going to be that bad, but that division's rough, and their schedule's really rough. I don't remember it. I went over it a long time ago. When we made the trade with the Saints, I went over it, but it's not easy. It's pretty crazy. So,
and in all honesty, man, out of all these defenses, I'm so excited to see Jair Alexander go against Aiden. That is the matchup I want to see, dude. Because Jair is just as good as Jalen Ramsey. He truly is.
Yeah.
They're 1A, 1B when it comes to corners in the NFL, easily. They're both right there. And if A.J. Brown can take advantage of that, oh, man, it's good. A lot of it just depends on that. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to be really good or it's going to be really bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be good for a while. I think they're going to have – the Saints are not going to have a great season this year. I don't think they are.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, I don't either, man. But listen, I know you're hot, man. I'm sweating my ass off here. I'm going to let you go and get into the AC and stuff. But, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on talking Eagles football.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But, yeah, why don't you give everyone your final thoughts here and, just your final shout-outs, whatever you got to do, man.
Yeah, guys, I'm excited for next week. Like, this is the start of a lot of good things. And like I said, this is going to be like one of the most exciting like training camps. And like I'm not saying that they're not exciting like every year, but I think with the amount of players that we do have and how much competition there is at, just say, running back or like seeing what Kenny Brooks can do, or like checking out the tight end 2 position and checking out the linebackers and Nakobe Dean, and obviously what we have with behind safety, and just other all the corners that we have right now. So I mean, this is where, we have to see what we have, and obviously, trimming this roster down slowly. Preseason will be here before we know it, and see what these guys are doing with the scrimmages, with obviously Miami coming to town, which I think is going to be really good competition for us. 2 quarterbacks that both front offices are giving them everything in front of them, and now it's up to them to take it. It's going to be, Tua and Jalen Hurts, which is kind of crazy. So I feel like we're going to see some really good things. I feel like we're going to overreact because that's what I do, and that's what everyone else does. We see one thing we don't like, we're like, what the hell is that? And that's what happens. So just take everything with a grain of salt, guys. Don't believe what all the coaches say and all these press conferences, because they're not going to give away anything. Defensive scheme, offensive scheme. You just got to wait. It's going to be patient. So if you're not into training camp and preseason, just don't listen to anything. If you're into watching all this, just take everything with a grain of salt, and the season will be here before we know it. So.
Oh, yeah. No, you hit that right on the head, my guy. Remember last year during the offseason? Jalen Reagor is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Where the hell was that at? Where was that at? Right.
Yeah, I was really hyped. Yeah, scrimmages are definitely. Yeah, because you know what? When you have this stupid freaking wide receiver corner drills where like there's no defense and the wide receiver can literally go in any direction, it's kind of retarded. But I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah. No, I don't believe anything anymore that they say until I see it week one. It's dumb, especially after you go and you say all that shit, and then he comes out and completely craps out. No, I'm good, dude.
I mean, the first game wasn't that bad. I mean, Reagor got the screen pass for the touchdown. I was like, all right. I mean, everyone got a piece of the ball, so I was okay with that first game. But then, holy crap, what was I watching?
It went downhill fast. But yeah, man, listen, we got 20 people still in here. I appreciate each and every one of you for chilling with us. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button on your way in and out. I already got my watch hours. I just need to get the subs now so I can get this thing monetized and we can start making some money for the channel to put back into the channel to give you guys some more content. So appreciate each and every one of you for coming out. And Joey, man, appreciate you so much for taking this hot 2 hours to talk to me. I picked one hell of a day to do this.
Yeah.
I had to go to the bathroom so much because I'm slamming.
I feel like I'm wearing some freaking earmuffs. That's what I feel like I'm wearing right. I'm wearing earmuffs in my house and I'm dying. I'm sweating from places you don't want to know. So that's all I'm gonna say. Just gonna say that. But,
I'm right there with you, dude. I'm sweating. I never thought I could sweat, so we're good. But no, man, thank you so much. You guys stay tuned. Sunday, I got Joe Castro coming on, and I also have Cool Cat Connor coming on. Appreciate those two for joining me this coming Sunday. But yeah, man, great season coming up. Definitely everyone stay pumped. There's no reason not to be pumped. I understand some things can go wrong, but we've also learned even when things go wrong, our team can sometimes prevail. I think that's where we're at, man. So just stay hyped. I will be there at the open practice on the 7th. I hope to see each and every one of you there. If you can make it, definitely hit me up, and I will be there. And wish you could be there, man. I would love to, meet you in person someday. We'll get that done.
Definitely.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate you and Philly 500 coming on today, man, taking your time. So,
definitely.
You all have.
We have we start the Philly Shakedown tomorrow. We're back. We've been gone for a month, so we come back with season 2 tomorrow. So definitely look out for that as well. So
definitely, I'll be there, man. So, all right. Well, you guys have a great, fabulous weekend. Stay cool. It's hot. It's really hot. Just be safe. Don't get a heat stroke. No one, please. Because it's definitely that weather right now. But yeah, man, fly Eagles fly, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.
Peace, guys.